What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. The book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon Kindle Create Space. The link will be in the description box below. This video is entitled Black Mother and White Father Figure. I was thinking about this because sometimes we would talk about um, athletes or but parenting per se in the black community. And you hear these young brothers constantly say they didn't have a father figure, but then constantly say some white coach was their father figure. And the problem with that is the marginalizing of their fathers and the other black men in their lives that were father figures, and the comfort with mothers' mistakes, and with black mothers acquiescing fatherly respect to white guys and marginalizing the respect of black males and black men's stepping in, or the fathers that actually did did their job. And what I mean by that is this: you got mothers out here who are adversarial to the fathers of their children, and they put up boundaries and create barriers, and they use the same system that they're complaining about to create a tension and animosity between father and child. And then now when the animosity and the tension is there, guess what happens? They wash their hands of the situation. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. So then they don't have nothing to do with the situation that they created. But at the same time, these women mess around and teach respect for white males in particular. White people, but white males in particular, to be more of a father figure. And what I mean by that is some of these young ladies, they'll fight with their quote unquote baby daddy, and they will call the police officers who are normally white in our neighborhoods, because they got white police officers patrolling black neighborhoods, and they get these white officers to discipline their kids. And it's weird because the same way these white cops are trying to talk to these kids, even with the best of intentions, is the exact same way these kids' fathers would talk to them. But the difference is, if the father talks that way, the mother calls that same white officer to get the father. So, in some twisted way, she's teaching these kids to respect white males or white authority. Same thing goes on when you take these children to school. You know, usually that's normally with white female teachers, but when you talk about like principals and the not necessarily the security guards, but you know what I mean, and even same thing with the coaches and all that other stuff. And you find out when you look at the backstory of some of these people that they're um they're being disingenuous, to say the least, because these kids may have black male coaches or black male teachers, and then they take out the same disrespect that they were taught to give their fathers to these black male teachers and these black male coaches and these black male like school guards, right? So what I mean by that is, the teacher, he don't know nothing. Why? Because my mama told me my daddy don't know nothing. He don't know, that coach don't know nothing. Why? Because see, they can't really say it. The coach, and that's when it gets tricky, because the coaches usually are black people, black men that actually coach athletics, normally played longer and better than your white coaches ever did. If a lot of your white coaches never played. So now they're bucking people who are teaching them what works in real life. And then you have to, and then that black coach has to tell a white dude, tell him the exact same thing I just told him, because he gonna listen to you. And then the kid like, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I would have never ever got this if it wasn't for the white coach who taught me. And the black coach is looking at him like, that's what I told you 5 minutes ago before I had to tell Coach White Guy to tell you the exact same thing. No, it wasn't. No. Like, okay. So then you got these guys who can't be hard on these kids. Now, don't get it twisted. There's some parents in general who don't like people being hard on their children. So they're black kids who are spoiled, who white coaches got on, who were hard on them just like everybody else, and they went crying to their parents. You gotta get rid of him. He's so disrespectful. He's so mean. I can't take him being all on my head, telling me what to do. Mama, save me. Stupid ass mother come, and sometimes stupid ass parents come and do that dumb shit, and get people in trouble and fired. I mean, I've seen it happen with black people and white people, so I'm not gonna act like that doesn't exist. So now you move a little forward, right? And then you put yourself in that position where these black guys can't necessarily be hard on these kids like these white guys. They can't give them discipline the same way. You know why? Because these black kids have been taught that they can lash out at black males in particular, black men in particular. And they'll say shit and do shit that they would never pull with other people. And then when they ask to get checked, if somebody said, what? The fuck you talking to? Then all of a sudden the reality kicks in. Let me go hide behind the police or being a child or something, because I know I crossed the line, but I know I could get away with this shit because I'm going to buy into the same propaganda that I was taught. I'm getting into it with an older black man, so even from black man to black male, I get to win because he's a bigger, badder threat in society. So because people play into this bullshit, what happens? They go to these other institutions and they have these quote unquote mentors who are non-black, and oh man, he's like a father figure to me. And it's the weirdest shit to hear, because it's not weird to hear if their father was never involved and it was their father's fault. Like their father was a deadbeat, it makes absolute sense. But then you see these kids come out and then they grow a little bit and they have kids, and then they see this shit play out with them. Like, wait a minute, I'm daddy, I'm fighting mama just to be daddy. Now mother's driving a wedge between me and my child, but at the same time building a bridge for these white people to come be parental father figures. And this is where the crazy part kicks in, because a lot of this, I ain't gonna say a lot of this, because some of this racism that brings on this extra violence, some of it stems from the fact that these white guys been accustomed to disciplining black single mothers' children for so long, they can go feel like they can go as far as they want to anyways because of racism, but they feel like shit. I've been dealing with y'all stupid ass kids forever. You need your ass whooped. Now where they mess up is they start getting out of pocket, and they start learning the nuances. Is some guys you can pull that shit with, and some guys will kick your ass, badge or not. And then that's why the part of it is that they're scared, because they want to run roughshod over everybody. Then they realize I can't, so let me pull out my gun. Because see, the badge itself won't save them. So you got to a degree you got to watch that. Making that white father figure part, you actually have licensed abuse. That you say, because you don't want a black man to discipline his own kid, but you're comfortable with a white man doing it. And then turn right around years later and say, them white people to kill you. You gave them, you built a bridge for them to think it was comfortable putting their hands on your child in the first place. And a lot of times, a lot of you single mothers out there in particular don't tell the fathers that you're doing this. These are things that guys find out years later. I mean, like like what? They what? Why the? And let me go back a little bit so I can finish this up. What I was saying about when they build this bridge, right? When you do this, and these guys become parents, and then they see how their father got froze out of their life because they're starting to get froze out of their child's life, and then they start rethinking their whole childhood and teenage years, and they start seeing how it's replaying in their child's life and their child's teenage years, and then, or when the child is born and they going through this early baby mama drama, they can see how it's building up and where it's going to go because they've already lived it. Then it changes the dynamics between them and white men's father figure respect, because then it starts to be like, wait a minute, I'm thinking this guy's like a father figure, but he just was prime in a prime position to use me to get ahead also. So then you wind up in a beef with your mother, and then um, you kind of let your father figure off the hook. You know, sometimes you let the wrong ones off the hook, and sometimes you let the right ones off the hook. But it's just a mixed bag with that. And then you have this disrespect for white male authority, because now you're starting to see like, wait a minute, you didn't have my best interest at heart. This was just a way to either use me, abuse me, get around me enough to be in a position to fuck my mama when I wasn't looking, because she used that bridge with her disrespect for my father and her kind of sexual lust for you to actually build a bridge for you to come through and holler at her. And you play like you was my friend. Oh, okay. So for some of y'all, that might go over some people's head. I don't know. But I'm just putting it out there like it is. Peace.